stream. All right. Now, since I have the stream started, let me see if I get my output. Give it a second. All right, we live. Let me start sharing this on the platforms. Ah, but definitely want to just start right off the rip. I appreciate you, taking your time out on your off day. I know you be having some things to do.
All right. It's be so busy, way.
I appreciate it. Really, I do. Um, and I look forward to the conversations we're gonna have tonight. Definitely. Um, yeah, because I have a good set plan. So before I get started, uh, I want you to introduce yourself, Marius, to the people that'll be watching this in the future and even now. Just a little brief. It don't have to be nothing extreme. Just something simple, or what you would like as an intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am Marius, man, police officer,
Yeah.
firefighter, fitness enthusiast, uh, into social media, into all kind of things. Whatever makes sense. I
Right.
am too, man. You
And
could
if
you
it
could
making
find me.
money.
If it's making money, you definitely can find me too. So, um, you can find me on TikTok at the cleanest 45,
All
and
right.
you can see a lot of my content on there and what I all about and what all I do.
All right. What kind of content do you primarily do?
So I basically do like fitness and wellness. Yeah, predominantly fitness and wellness.
Okay.
Most of my content, the same thing over and over.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I can respect that. Fitness content is
Mm.
despite it being what's the word I'm looking for? Despite it being repetitive, quote unquote,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not exactly repetitive because discipline is repetitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Doing the
So
same thing every day is repetitive. Yeah.
that's what
Discipline.
makes
Yeah.
it good. That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
People
Mm.
who appreciate it, like myself, I'll say that I could appreciate some fitness content because I believe that it is worthwhile to watch and then you learn for some stuff. So um
Yeah.
with us watch with this right now, we could discuss that as well. But as you said, your name is Marius. You're a police officer in the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and a fitness enthusiast,
Yeah.
money maker, right? I appreciate you coming, really. Okay, so our first segment is going to be the foundation of this podcast session tonight on fitness and law enforcement. For those that don't know, I'm on the Defense Force. I'm a Marine. So this is Marines and police within the Bahamas. I'll speak from a Marine standpoint, and he'll speak from a police standpoint and the different experiences we have. So the first question I have to you is, how important is physical fitness in law enforcement today compared to a decade ago? Wow.
Wait, that's a big question.
Right.
Today and decade ago. Well, the only thing I could say is right. Well, in today's
Mm-hmm.
world, everything at a faster pace now.
Okay.
The world is more open. A lot of technology. And a decade ago, everything was behind the scenes. So,
Right.
you couldn't really see much. But now you see what everybody doing and what everybody all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you believe it's not necessarily like the difference or how important it is? It's more amplified because of social media and because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
eyes out there more.
it more out there, yeah.
Okay.
It more out
So
there, yeah.
let's think about a circumstance and situation that I'm sure hasn't changed about fitness is people who are overweight. Um, I'm sure 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, and many years back, the people that are obese now was obese 20 years ago, most of them. And
Yeah.
a lot of pictures were not taken of them when they were obese. Um, but with the access amount of cameras and televised television and televised circumstances, we see these people more prominent. And I've saw that. My Grammy will speak about people on the defense force, and I'd see some people on the police force that, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but you're fluffy, right? You're fluffy, and you would be really, you would be ashamed if someone would take picture. You would actually get aggressive. You say, "Oh, I don't want no picture. I want no picture. I want no picture." But really, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't really there. You ain't there. So I think, and I agree, that it is more prominent in today's society, or it is today than it was a decade ago, because there's more eyes out there. I believe, in fact, it's more a public display more than ever in law enforcement to be on your best behavior and look the part and wear the uniform correct.
Yeah.
Because when you're wearing that uniform, I don't know about you, but when you're wearing that uniform, you're no longer Marius. I'm no longer Baron. Like, I'm not even King Kurt on this channel. Like, when I'm in my uniform, I want nobody come around me playing whatever type of games or whatever it is they got going on. I focus. And even when I wear my uniform, I take on a different persona. So I think by extension, your fitness is show, and ain't nobody gonna take you serious. I don't know about you, but if I see someone who ain't wearing their uniform together, especially being someone who wear uniform, I ain't taking you serious. Like,
no man.
But am I wrong?
It's everything, man.
It is, but would you? I wouldn't even ask if I'm wrong, right or wrong. You should respect competent authority regardless. That's a redundant question now you mention it, but I believe even when you ain't in that shape, you ain't chip up, you ain't ready to rock and roll, you don't even approach people in the same manner, if that makes sense.
No.
You would, like, for example, if I stand there dressing someone and I come with that confidence, if you don't take care of your body subconsciously, you ain't gonna be confident in yourself. If someone go run and they freak themselves out, you ain't even into all of that running around because you're lazy, right? Yeah. So I definitely agree. It's changed a big time, and the cameras have not made it better, it's made it worse, and people have become, even the population, they have become more aggressive and assertive because they know that they watching and they could see more than what we even see on the job. So it's sad, but you gotta get yourself together. So my next question would be, what are the baseline fitness standards for officers, and do you think they're high enough? So the base fitness requirement to join the police force.
The base fitness requirements for police force right now.
You don't have to remember it off the top of your head exactly.
Yeah, I ain't gonna give you no exact number because now I'm getting problems.
Yeah.
So just about 25 push-ups, 25 to 30 push-ups. The same thing goes with the 13 minutes.
Say it again.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Say it again.
I say just about 25 to 30 push-ups, sit-ups, same thing, and a mile and a half in about 13 minutes. 13, 30, somewhere around that time.
Okay. 13, 30 minutes is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Would you say they need to be higher, though?
I think it could be a little higher. I feel like, when you have an interest and you want to pursue a career in law enforcement,
right,
you have to do your background work before you apply. So you don't just apply because academically you may be qualified and all that. It's a lot more than just, the academics. You have to be disciplined and you have to be fit. The same effort you put into your academic, you should be doing the same thing when it comes to you and your body and, your physical fitness, all that, it goes hand in hand.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Yeah. So if you know you want to be a police, like, or a Marine, or a prison officer, or a customs officer, or whatever it is you want to do, at least prepare yourself 6 months to a year in advance. You don't have to do nothing extreme. Nothing, too old there. Just prepare yourself.
Get yourself together.
Get yourself together. It don't take that long. You just wake up every day. Every morning, you could, me, when I was coming up, I used to wake up 4 a.m., 4:15 in the morning,
Right.
especially during the pandemic and all of that. I took advantage of the
Just
pandemic.
work.
Just wait. Just wait. Every morning, on the road, running through roadblocks, that's
Uh-huh.
what I did to prepare myself. And, when I got my opportunity, to take the physical, it was easy because
You already put
I
in
was
the work.
preparing. Exactly. That's all it is. No, you prepare. Like I think it's a basketball player, Damian Lillard. He said in practice, right?
Oh,
The more confident you go there.
say it again. Can you repeat it?
Damian Lillard, he has a quote. I can't say it verbatim,
Okay.
but I know it. So it goes somewhere like that. It goes somewhere along the lines of this. Like the quote basically states that um, practice or something like that. You're doing it over and over.
Right.
So when you actually go there in the field, you're very confident in your abilities.
Right.
So you have to prepare at least 6 months to a year in advance.
Right.
And I agree, like you mentioned when you asked the questions, the numbers could be a little better. It just takes the person, and their discipline, and preparing beforehand, not just academically but physically. And I feel like it could be a change.
Okay. Okay. So you definitely agree that they need to up the
Yeah, it could
numbers.
it could get better.
Okay. Well, for me on the defense force, I could give exact numbers, but I won't for my safety and my clarity
Yeah, we
sake.
don't get defaulted, man.
Yeah, I'm into all of that, and someone said I spreading misinformation. But
Yeah.
I will say, for fitness and my experience with joining the defense force, when I enlisted, I couldn't. I couldn't do no push-ups. I'll be honest. I couldn't do no push-ups.
Come on.
I couldn't do. I could have probably do what, 2 chin-ups, and I could have knocked up. Boy, I could have do sit-ups. Boy, sit-ups was like I could do. I could because
That's
I
your
was
thing.
because I used to run right when it was time
Yeah,
to
that's
run
your
that
thing.
mile and a half. I was long distance runner. I comfortable doing that, and I was off running for about must see a year, 2 years. So I was able to do that. When it came to going to swim, because we have a swim evolution. They
Yeah.
tell me do this modified breaststroke. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I can do it. But when I got into training, I had to get it together. The thing, and I also want to make mention of it. Not everybody is gonna beat Chip up going in training. Most people aren't. Most people ain't ready. Now, for me, how I live now, I be in the gym about 5 to 5:30, 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week on a Saturday if I could get it in. But I go in the gym 3 times a week, at least 3 times a week, and I wake up around 4:30 in the morning. I wake up 4:30. I be in the gym by
Yeah.
5:15, and then I start my day, and I work at 9 to 5. Right? It
Mm.
ain't easy. I'll say that it ain't easy, and I do believe, in some cases and circumstances, some people may find it difficult to get up early in the morning, or they may find it hard that they have their issues and they have their family stuff, whatever have you. But it's a choice. It's a sacrifice. You could be sacrificing from you enlist or from you put pen to paper and you join. You're gonna be self-sacrificing for the rest of your career. I don't think people understand that, and they don't know how serious that is. But you're gonna be sacrificing for the rest of your career. You're gonna be doing some things you don't want to do, and that's the whole point of them making you put pen to paper and they giving you a salary set because you know what you signed up for. That's what they tell us on BDF. Well, that's what you signed up for. When I wouldn't do
Yeah.
nothing I wouldn't do. And I know in some cases and circumstances, they just call you to do some stuff that you ain't into doing,
Yep.
right? But the next thing we're gonna go on is, have you ever seen a situation where lack of fitness compromise safety on the job? And I know you're a fireman, and this is something I'm curious about. Because
Yeah.
I could see it in real life being a problem, but just
Yeah.
real life experience.
Buddy, being in the fire department, trust me, I see other law enforcement agencies brag about being recons and being a part of
Hey.
special operations, doing all these different things. Big
Uh-huh.
man, let me tell you, being a firefighter, probably, it could be debatable,
Okay.
but it's probably one of the most physical things any human being can do.
Okay.
And the fitter you are, the more efficient you are, you save lives, you save property, because you dealing with the real thing. You can't act and you can't fake this.
And you can't play about it either.
You can't play about it like this life or death. Whenever we have a call to go anywhere, even if it's a false alarm,
Right.
it's life or death. We going in there with that mindset that somebody need us. Somebody could be trapped
Right.
and we have to be there. And the fitter you are, the easier it is for you to move around. Because it may look as simple as when we exit the truck, when we arrive on scene, we moving around. We moving around with at least 80 pounds of gear on us.
Right.
We have the tank, the breathing, everything, the breathing
The
setup.
code and us too.
Yeah, everything. Like so, for me right now, I bulk up right now. Right now, I had 220 pounds. So you
Jesus.
can imagine a 220 pound man, with gear and all of that stuff on. So think about it.
Damn.
Yeah. So with the extra gear on and all of that, I somewhere around maybe 300 pounds.
Right.
You know, and I still have the function as if I ain't weighing that on me.
Yeah, man.
I still gotta go.
Lightweight.
Wait, I still gotta go to the truck, get tools. I might have to go a flight of stairs. I have to pull but that charge line, that hose, when that water and that hose and that pressure running through that hose.
That tough.
Wait, but that tough, bro. That tough. So, like, and I've been training now, I would say, even before the job, but the level I on now, like I'm more stronger now, I'm more wiser now.
Right.
You know, I know how to pace myself now. You know, I have a greater appreciation for fitness due to the fact that I am part of the fire department, because I thought I was this macho man. You know, I used to run long and I used to do a lot of outdoor cardio, but this job humbled me. This job is the reason why I in the gym right now lifting weights, trying to get stronger.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very humbling experience
Okay.
being in the fire department. Now I could speak on the police side too, because you know we used to see
Yes,
them.
you still as an extension of part of the police department.
Yeah. So on the police side, dealing with the public, you have to be fit. You know,
Right.
I've been in situations where I had to break up fights and
Do you do
arrest
this?
people. You know, and it looks simple on TV. You know the cops series on YouTube, and it is viewed on the cable television and all of that. But it look easy when a police officer arresting somebody. Trust me, it's hard, especially when the person panicking or they heated and they ready to crash out.
Yeah.
But you got to be strong and you got to be fit. It ain't
You gotta
easy,
be
man.
stronger than them because they got some aggression going on.
Hey man, you got to be stronger than them. So, hey, and you can't show it. You have to,
You gotta
control
be
the
that.
situation
Yeah.
in quick time.
I totally understand that, because even myself where I work, I may be on a 9 to 5, but where I'm stationed, I have some people that come there and these some intimidating people. I'll be honest. These dudes them look like they fresh out the street. They got their tattoo on their neck, or they got these tattoos and they got ankle monitor and this and that and all type of things, and they taller than me. They bigger than me, but I can
you
be
the tall
honest.
fella. But you the tall fella, sir.
Okay, I see two tall dudes come. They must see 6'5" a piece, and a woman coming there, and she looked like a mob boss, and I wasn't scared of them. I could be honest. I wasn't scared. I was like, boy, if y'all could do something, do something. Do something. Try it. Let's see how that could go. Because I already know I put in that work, and whatever I put in my best foot for it. Now, if it don't work, then it don't work. You know what I'm
you
saying?
need to work on.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. I know for next time, hey, boy, but I'm fizz. Now it's different if, boy, I don't be working, I don't be pumping my hand. Because I know, well, I don't know if you know, I used to run long distance, but now I just do straight weight training. I just do straight strength training, and I just trying to gain my muscle, because I know 200 pound do it like you. I can be honest. I lean. I lean. I like 165 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm bulking heavy. I ain't got no gut. I chip, but I fit.
Yeah.
I could run behind someone. I could grip someone. I got enough strength to yuck them. I confident that I could do that, because I know I can lift. I can lift a certain amount of weight, and I building that, and I could keep building that. Now, for Lack of fitness, I haven't exactly been in those cases and circumstances, but I saw the potential of it being a problem. So
Yeah.
if I, for example, I work in there and these dudes them bigger than me, but I could see they don't work out, right? They just taller than me and they street boys. I
Mm.
know I just work out. I have my firearm on me. I lock and loaded. I ready to go. And I focus. I ain't smiling. I ain't distracted. I lock in. I watching hand movements. I doing what I doing. I can imagine being with someone that is out of shape or they ain't focused or they don't have that discipline by extension of not working out. Something might shake and they might get parry.
Yeah.
You can imagine I trying to hold someone down and I telling them radio it and radio it in. They, you know, like you can imagine in a life or death circumstances. Here I am now. I trying to deal with two people and possibly detain them to call the police. And here it is now. My comrade just in focus. It's a
No.
serious position to be in, really, a very serious and scary position to be in. I agree wholeheartedly that lack of fitness compromise safety, 1000%. For you, it's even
That's
more
life or death,
because
but that's life or
that's
death.
that's your battle buddy. If y'all inside the firehouse, I can imagine y'all going behind each other, and then y'all gotta stay connected like one extension. Y'all going
Yeah.
in places, and y'all don't know what's going on. If the
Yeah.
roof cave in, they going in there to get you. Yeah, you have your helmet on, but they gotta get you. They ain't gonna leave you there.
No.
And imagine you was the most fittest person, and it's by a long shot. Big boy
Yeah.
trying to get in there, or little man who just come, he skin and bones, he don't even eat much, or he don't work out, he ain't got that strength, he ain't got that endurance. He ain't gonna have that courage to go in that fire, because he's, as far as he thinking, man, hey, I know, boy. I seriously think, and I'm gonna get into this later, about the mental aspect, building muscle and working out definitely just train the mind more than people understand and realize.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
Okay. The next question, this might be a sensitive one. We'll see. How do law enforcement agencies enforce or encourage continued fitness after training?
Boy, I know with y'all have y'all. I don't know how it's set up, but I know a lot of Marines, and I work with a lot of Marines. Y'all just have this maybe twice a year. Y'all just do that. I know if I correct.
Oh, you
Maybe
mean
once a year.
biennial fitness?
Yeah, base fitness.
Yeah, that's a fitness assessment. That is in
Yeah,
that
so
system,
y'all
yeah.
just have that. I think y'all will be the only law enforcement agency what is do that.
Right.
Us, I know after we graduate, your fitness is on you to maintain. Whatever you do on you. It ain't no pressure, it ain't no detail. There's no assessment unless,
Okay.
if you're going on a course or whatever and they posting it at the police college, so there will be fitness there.
Right.
Other than that, it don't exist. I feel like, it should be mandatory,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know why, it's a small amount. I don't know why they don't do it, but I feel like a lot of us, different agencies out there, we should follow suit and emulate what y'all is do.
Okay.
You know, because y'all, everybody, feel like y'all is the standard for fitness in law enforcement. And
Okay.
everybody could be the standard of fitness.
Everybody
Just do the
could.
same thing. Just do the same thing. Have these things detailed and have it mandatory for officers, even after training. Most people they come on this job, the best shape they could ever be in their life would be in training. So,
That's true.
it shouldn't be that way. When you reach a certain fitness standard in training, you could graduate and become an even better version of yourself, like me.
Me too.
Like the level what I'm on right now, like I tell you, I'm more wise now. I'm more stronger.
And
I know how to
experience.
use my body, more experience. So that's with me training even after, you know,
Mm-hmm.
exiting the college. So it should be the same way straight across the board. Like I feel like there should be like a detail or, something in writing that says that officers will be evaluated and, every
Okay.
quarter or however they decide to do it. To keep that, that physical conditioning and
Right.
all of that going on.
Okay. Well, I'll say for my side, for being on the defense force, you may think that we have it a part of us to, how do I word it? You may think that it's a part of us to be physically active, or rather, we have things in place for us to work out. It's not true. I'll be completely honest. It's the same here. Your fitness is 100% on you. We are accountability based organization, and your fitness is on you. Your fitness on you. If you don't want to do no push-ups, ain't nobody making you do no push-ups.
No.
If you ain't want workout, ain't nobody making you do no workout. Now for my department, we just have like every 2 months or so, we just do our little, our Swedish table mates do our run. And I can appreciate that. Is it done frequently to stay fit or to get in shape? No. That's supplementary stuff, right? Base fitness is now exam time. You gotta be in your classes. Let's look at it from an educational standpoint. You can't come in the exam and only read the book once a week or two before. It ain't gonna work.
You can fail.
You know questions. You can fail. Your brain can be so overwhelmed. Like, but I read page 5 and page 17, and I gotta remember page 38. Wait, what? You could be freaking out. So here it is now. It is heavily on you as an individual. Accountability is a big thing. I will say on the defense for us, some people, because of the systems and the times that we that we work on watch or we're on duty, it is not easy. It is even more self-sacrificing to say go in the gym. If you just get off from working midnight to 8 a.m., it's not easy for you to now get up at 8 a.m. to go in the gym and then put in a good workout. You will get gains. You will get gains, but will it be healthy? Is that like safe? I wouldn't agree. Now, for those people like myself who are 9 to 5 or work in a routine and have a routine built and could have it as such, even the people that work and is allowed to go in the gym or like ask their seniors or ask their senior people to go get their fitness together and they take that opportunity, great. I don't have no issues with that. I can respect that. But most of them, especially the ones that go to sea, the ones that go to certain detachments that don't have a gym afforded to them. Mind you, I still don't say that's an excuse because calisthenics is a thing. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and running could get you just as good because it happens in training.
Most of my exercising, what I do is be outdoors. I only in the gym to lift weights,
Just to get strength.
I don't be in the gym. I tell people, boy, I don't like the gym,
I love the gym. I
don't like the gym, bro. Like, I love exercising. I don't like the gym. Like, that ain't the only thing I do. I appreciate the gym.
Right.
Being in the gym, it challenges me, and it's therapy for me. But I like to be outdoors, bro. I'll be on them stairs by the Queen staircase for the rest of my life if I have to. That's my gym. I love that. I love that outdoor cardio and conditioning. Right. I love that.
And there's some benefits to that. If you do your cardio, you can get your heart rate running effectively. And while you're doing that, you're making sure your muscles are not getting deterioration because you're running blood flow through them. Your joints will get some stress testing and some, if you're running proper. Now, if you're going down there stomping and you ruining your cartilage in your knees, you can't expect to have knees 20 years from now. But
no.
You do the right things. You run on the pavement. You get out there. You get physically active. Even people who just started just walking around the block two times a week. Walking. That's progression.
Walking very effective.
Well, but as it stands now, I would say that it's encouraged. Yeah. In any armed forces, like it's not encouraged to stay in shape. It's definitely you are your own person. You're responsible for yourself. We adults, that's what they just say. And you're accountable for yourself. If you don't want to do it, that on you. But I do believe that the person that working beside you would appreciate a person that is in shape better than a person that ain't in shape. Better you to have a loaded weapon and don't have an unloaded weapon. You might as well don't have it, right? Okay.
That's facts.
Okay. So for the next segment is training and discipline. The first question that I'm gonna pop is, what does a typical fitness routine look like for you? And how do you adjust for shift work or regular hours? This is it, This could be hard for me to answer. I've worked in the system and I can understand how I would do it. But for your perspective.
Well, for me, in the fire department, I work 24 hours. So even when I'm on duty, my preferred time would be about 3 to 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock. because that's my preferred time to wake up in the evening.
Okay.
So my workouts, what I do would be on them days because we don't really have no weights at the station. So I'll bring my kettlebell. I have my dumbbells, my 25-pound dumbbells. I have my 3-pound dumbbell, what I would use to do my weighted jumping jacks. So I do a lot of kettlebell swings, weighted jumping jacks, a lot of burpees, a lot of push-ups.
Uh-huh.
Squat like at the station. Like I do like a lot of body weight exercises, like a lot of calisthenic stuff.
With a little bit of spice.
But a little bit, but my routine is be rigorous, bro.
I
It
had to
is,
see
it
you.
is.
I had to see you
Yeah.
up them
I love
5-pound
it.
weight and thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I talking about 300 burpees and thing, mate. So that's the kind of things, boy. That's the kind of things I do, boy. Like I do better when the workout's nasty and rigorous, but like when it's hot, like I ain't the fittest man in the world,
Right.
I ain't the most in shape man in the world, but I just love the challenge of a hard workout,
Well,
So when I had wake, that's the kind of stuff I do. I utilize like, but where I wake, is it like we have this uniqueness about our area where you could just exercise. It's a I just do it. I can't speak for nobody else.
it's welcoming inside, but it's
Yeah,
welcoming
yeah.
where you work.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you could exercise on your downtime. You could go there. Once we don't have no calls and we free, you could take advantage of the opportunities there.
Okay. I'll say for me, I've worked in the watch system where I worked 6 day on like a 6 day shift, you could say.
Yeah,
I've also worked 24. I love the 24 hours on base.
yeah,
And I work a 9 to 5 now. And I would say for me personally, I can appreciate the 9 to 5 because I am forced to have a routine. Like I said, I get in the gym 5 o'clock in the morning, and by about 6:30, I out of the gym. I home trying to be clean shaven and get me some breakfast before I make it to the post on 9 o'clock, and I just get it done. It is be
Yeah.
crazy, and people just be like, "Mother sick," and I don't even like. I don't like to glorify it or like speak about it like it's all with glitz and glamour, because buddy, it is be terrible. It is
Yeah.
it is very stressful and frustrating to get a 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. You go get gym, and then after all of that, I now, because I don't know about you, but I wet shave. I use the old fashioned straight razor or safety razor, and I just do the shaving cream. That just take time. You know how much times I go on cutting up myself, and I put a little piece of napkin because I gotta get up to go to work for 9.
yeah.
Like it ain't easy.
But I
It is
try
not
to
easy.
shave. I try to shave the night before. So my preferred method, what I use, but I have my portable T-Oat liner set up
Right.
where I would shave with the grain. So it won't give you that clean shave, but if you're looking at my face, you can tell I
It's good
shave and you
enough.
can see. Yeah, you ain't gonna see no stubble. Everything level, everything clean. And I just use Thin Skin. I don't know if you're familiar with Thin Skin.
No. I'm familiar with this.
Yeah, that's the product. Well, let me see if I can find that. I got run to the restroom right now and get it.
All right. While he's gone, I will say for me, I do use a wet shave. I use a straight edge safety razor, and I shave my face. I do 3-way, so I go down, I go across, and I go up. I go for a 3-way shave. I don't skimp out. I can respect that he does that, but I, just in typical me fashion, I do the most.
All right. Well, this particular product right here, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, tanned skin. Okay.
Yeah, this is a very good product. So it basically works for ingrown hairs, razor bump, and it act like as a shaving wax or gel or whatever.
Right.
It smell like alcohol. Yeah, it have alcohol like smell.
Right.
So what I do, I usually apply it to the areas after I shave, maybe for an hour or so, and just wash it off with regular water.
And the hair will come off with it?
That's after you shave.
Oh, that's after shave.
So what it does, whatever bumps or irritation
Yes.
go up on your face, so it basically, well, it basically rectify the problem.
I'm familiar with what you're saying because I use something similar. I don't use that specific thing, but I use witch hazel because witch
Yeah.
hazel is an antiseptic that is used to clean the pores and stop any type of bleeds or cuts or any nicks and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I have that as well, and that does really well for me. And it has a little bit of alcohol in it, and it gets the job done. But for me,
Yeah.
who shave safety raising,
Yeah.
shaving, buddy, me people just tell me all the time. They just ask me, "You just even grow hair?" I be like, "Yeah, I do." And I show them pictures of
Yeah.
me having a goatee and my sideburns and stuff. They be like, "No, man, you don't grow no hair." I do, but I just be clean shaven.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the topic because we got a little bit off track.
Yeah.
So it says, what are the baseline fitness standards for officers, and do you think they're high enough? That's the wrong question. My apologies. What are some misconceptions the public has about how quote unquote in shape officers really are?
Misconceptions.
Yes. So I want to word it in a better way. What are some ways that they perceive police? Like
Yeah.
how they think versus reality in terms of fitness. What do you think they think versus what it really is?
Well, like I say, my experience with dealing with the public from a police aspect.
Mhm.
Well, the public, I think they are aware that police officers supposed to be in shape. I think universally,
They
like
expect. They have an
they
expectation.
they have an expectation that you as a police officer, you have to be in
You
shape.
gotta perform. You gotta perform,
Yeah.
and they expect
Yeah,
you to
you have to
perform.
be able to perform. Like the first thing they will say, well, oh look at all these. Like I remember this little incident that happened some time ago. You know, I go on Facebook. You know, they be cooking us on Facebook. Oh look at all these fat police. I ain't never seen more fat police in my life. You know, like the mere fact that you live on the fluffy side, they will their way of seeing it. When we watch these Hollywood films or these movies, the officers them they look a particular way, or when we see the officers on TikTok or whatever, they look a particular way. But our officers, on the other hand, they don't look like
Contrary.
that. Yeah, they don't look like that. So what happening? Why the police force hire so much fat people? Treating them working no more. That's what they say. So that's what I think it is. I think they're aware that we supposed to be somewhere physically. So I wouldn't say they don't know. I think they are fully aware that we are supposed to be, somewhere physically.
Well, like we discussed in the first segment,
Yeah.
it is very camera exposed these days.
Yeah.
There's eyes on you 24/7, surveillance cameras, video cameras, recording, selfies, pictures, you name it. And they watching your social media profiles in every way, shape, and form. These people watching, and they looking to see certain things. They looking to see if this boy fluffy or if he fit. Now, I believe with all these eyes on police, defense force, customs, immigration, BDOCs, the Fast Five, I believe that those people that are in those five, matter of fact, five fingers, because it's five fingers. I believe people in all of those organizations are represented in the way that they can and they should. The one issue is social media is a really good way to show bad and not good.
Yes, I agree.
With bad news moving faster than good news, you'll
Yeah.
always hear the bad things that BDF involve, police, customs, immigration, BDOCs, you name it. Anything bad that getting posted on BN, that going on ZNS, that going on Rev TV, and everybody can share it. And the first thing they could do when you get to work, when they see you, is, you hear what happened to that officer? So
Yep.
we know the bad news to share faster than the good. I put it on everyone in each organization respectfully, not posting or showing good. Because even for the communities, when we do give back to the communities, it doesn't show well.
No.
It doesn't get anywhere because people are still blind to the fact that these organizations at large do give back to the community and they do try to represent the community.
Yeah.
And they try their best to soften the pressures of life from these people. But because it's only one person affected, the rest of the people, they back to it because, oh, well, he ain't dealing with me. He ain't get me, so I ain't worrying about that. Now we have the issue where people have these unrealistic expectations, and at large, they would think, I like to think of it as the superhero effect. So they would ask you to do some crazy, outrageous stuff that even the fittest person may not be able to do. or to be able to pull off without them really killing themselves or hurting themselves. They expect you to work 3 days back to back, no sleep. You at work, you done work 6 days, and they expect you to be. Even some people in the organization, I understand why they do it. It is unrealistic, and we human. We can have our shortcomings. We have our off days, or we can have them days where we really just burn out.
Yeah.
And social media don't show that bad. Regardless of where you are in the United States, you don't see the bad. For those people who work in the fire department, there's a guy that I watch on TikTok. I think his name is Bryce Dalrymple. Bryce Dalrymple just work out heavy, and he's a firefighter. And you would look at this dude, he's pretty much an amateur bodybuilder. Chris Bumstead even said, bro, this dude is a unit. He just lift heavy weight. He don't play mental case. But you ain't gonna see the bad ones. They really take over the good ones. They have their social media platform, and they have that 1% that making everything look good. I don't even think in the Bahamas we have those 1% of people that have a good representation. So we just have the bad.
Yeah, just the bad.
We don't have no good. We don't have no influences. No. We don't have nobody doing good. Like saying that they on law enforcement and they doing good. I don't see it at all. People really shun away from it. It's sad. Yeah. I even don't post about it because even on my channel, I just mentioned that I on the defense force and I have my plaque right here, but it's not represented well. The misconceptions, I wish there was more that we could do, but I can only hope that within 20 years that times will change and people have a better representation as we give back to the community. We do our community service and we try to help out and lessen the burden. And the bad apples, they stop being bad apples. But the next question is, how do officers prepare for high-stress physical situations like foot pursuits or physical confrontations, or for you, firefighting? Like, how do you prepare for that outside of just being physically active or physically fit? Is there like something that y'all do?
Well, for me, I remember as a probationer, I didn't know how serious it was until it was a fire. I can never forget that night. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was at night, early mornings, early hours, I mean. And these people were trapped inside this structure. They were sleeping, mind you, and the whole caught on fire while they were sleeping.
Wow.
So the mother was able to break the glass and squeeze the baby through the window and throw the baby outdoors.
Wow.
But it was a good thing it wasn't no 2-story building or anything like that.
Right.
And the baby, just a bunch of scrapes and, some cuts or whatever.
Okay.
Baby wasn't injured, didn't land on the head or anything like that. She just was doing what her mother had to do. Right. And she was able to get out the structure. However, the father of the child, got burned badly. And I thought, like I say, as a probationer, this is something new to you. You ain't know what to expect. So after seeing that, and some other incidents, after seeing that, like, I was like, wait, I really have an opportunity to make a difference.
Right.
Like, it took me some time to mature, but, as I mature, I realized that, once you go to work, you basically got to give the people who you serve 110% of your full ability. So nowadays, whenever I have a call, as opposed to when I was a probationer, now I have a switch. Like, it's like an on and off switch. I get into that mode, and hey, I gotta give these people my all. Right. So that's how I think. As opposed to, being a probationer, you're still learning, so you don't really know what to expect. Now I know what to expect.
Right.
I know what to expect. So I know when I go to work, wait, you here and you have to make a difference. So that's how I approach these things now. With the experience now and seeing what it is for somebody to hold your hands and cry in your arm and all of that, Yeah,
it's a lot to handle.
So I think for new beginners or probationers, you might say you want to do this or that, and it ain't until you experience it and you see what it is in real time. That mental switch, you'll be able to like to turn it on right then and there.
So, would you agree or say that it's not necessarily something that you could prepare for? It's something that's
You can't prepare for that. You can't prepare for that. It's a mindset. Yeah, you can't prepare for that because even if you train with something, I feel like my belief is it's your will to act.
Right.
Yeah, it's your will to act. You can train as much as you want.
But when
it's your will to act.
When it's time,
yeah, when that crunch time come, but it's your will to act. So that's how I think it is for me. You can't really prepare. You can do all the training you want, but you can't prepare for this kind of stuff.
I think for us, it's also it's a switch. For us, in our case and circumstances, I'm not an infantry, so I can't speak to a magnitude that I'm not. But when you I like to say, when you focus, you focus. When I'm to work, I'm always thinking, what could possibly go wrong right now? And how would it go wrong? What would I do? Like a lot of the times, that's what I'm thinking, actively like replaying in my mind, because I alert and I'm worried or I'm concerned for the people that there. And these people just walk by me and they just say morning Pratt, and they just greet me and they just greet me with a smile. But they don't say it, but they have expectations. If they go past there and they see I sleeping, they could be like, you know what I'm saying? I aware. And sometimes they would look at me and they would be like, is he sleeping? And I'm looking at them dead in the eye. And I'd be like, I'm not sleeping. Like, I'm just literally looking at y'all, like watching y'all do what y'all do while you're walking by the desk and what's not. But I'm just not saying anything. I'm watching. But while I'm doing that, regardless of whatever it is that I'm doing, watching the cameras, I'm focused and thinking what could happen, what is happening right now, how can I handle it, what would I do in those cases and circumstances, constantly. And that didn't come fresh out of training. I'll agree. No one taught me that. That wasn't something I was taught. Right out of training, I was shaky. Yeah, I just come on the job.
But what a lot of people don't speak about, even after training, you still, in somewhat, still have like a civilian way of thinking and approach.
Because you don't know how to apply the knowledge you have.
Yeah, you don't know how to apply the knowledge, so it don't take until you actually experience things, and you season
and you do like, some things.
Yeah, you do some things. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people don't speak about it, but that's how it is for real.
I feel like that's how it is with all jobs. You could get all type of training. You could train to be whatever. Even when I just watched this movie. I think the name was Warfare. It was a military movie, and in the movie Warfare, those dudes were traumatized when that explosive went off on one of those guys and blew the next dude in half and all this other gruesome stuff. These dudes was freaking right out. They was mentally going in and out of psychosis. Like you could have actively seen this dude doing some stuff. Like the medic, he handling his soldier. This is SEALs. He handling his fellow buddy, his battle buddy, and his battle buddy wailing to the top of his voice, grown man screaming. And he literally just like in a state of psychosis, like he just in a daze, like he ain't hearing it. He ain't taking in no, like he in like a rest mode, just functioning. And I think for me, the closest thing I had to that is whenever I am doing my base fitness or I'm doing something that involves me having high stress, like when we had a fire scare in the office and I work in solo and it's me and all these people. I didn't actively remember the SOPs, but where I've read the SOPs frequently, I literally just start doing and I just start moving back and forth and I start doing the radio. I start calling whoever I could call or doing whatever I got to do. And I'm keeping the people in check. And the people was like, oh, Pratt, I see you was handling the ship and you was in. And I didn't tell them, but really I wasn't even functioning off of thought anymore. I had my will. I know what my to do is, and I gone to it. And I didn't learn that out of training. So when I still had to say, whoa, if I had a person working with me, what you want me to do? What you want me to do? At that time, they ain't even asking me because I ain't giving them no chance to ask me what to do. I ain't telling them what to do, and they following it.
Yeah.
Even now, whenever I'm in office, I would brief them and ask them questions. Hey, do you know where the fire exit is? Do you know where the nearest fire extinguisher is? Do you know what to do when an active shooter is there? Do you know what you do if you hear certain things? And they just answer me, and they relatively aware of certain circumstances and situations that may happen on a 9 to 5 that they work. And a lot of the questions that I asked them, they would have never thought about because that ain't what they there for. You understand? That's what I there for. And I know what I got to do, so I'm going to do it. I really don't think no one could teach that. That's not something that's taught. That's a mindset. That's completely something that you adopt. And some people have it and some people just don't. And some people have been through some stuff on the job and some people will never be on some stuff on the job. And I don't even hate it. Really, I don't. It makes us who we are. It gives us the character we are. We could talk about these things. We have our stories. Yeah, I'm sure you have more stories than I do. That's why I wouldn't even make it a comparison thing.
Yeah, I have plenty of stories.
Hey, I could commend you. I honestly could commend you on your hard work. I personally, when I was young, I respected firefighters, but I know I never could have been no firefighter. I love fire. Yeah. Like that's I love fire, but I couldn't be no firefighter. No boy. Yeah. I love where I work. But the next question is, do you train more for endurance, strength, agility, or all of the above? And why? This should be an easy one for you.
Oh yeah, he's trained for everything. You know, my line of work, you have to be all those. You have to have endurance, you have to have strength, you got to be able to go upstairs, you have to be able to carry equipment, you have to be able to crawl, you have to be able to get into tight spaces, you have to be able to use upper body strength to get inside the roof and the rafters.
Right.
Search for people, you know. That's why I could say I train for basically everything, you know, like it's like I keep, you know, emphasizing the experience thing and being wise and, you know, being me now compared to what I once was, you know. Like I know now that I gotta be able to lift some heavy weight. I know now that I gotta be able to run. I know now I need endurance to function. You know, they have a thing, you know, I didn't want to bring it out there, but I can bring it out there because I find it funny. You know, at work, they have this little joke they say about me. They call me the mop-up man. The mop-up man would basically be like after the actual, you know, the first stage of the fire, you know, they have the crew that, you know, that comes in, you know, attack the fire, and, you know, they somewhat control the fire, then they extinguish the fire. Then they have the second crew. Yeah, they have the second crew that comes in and clean it up, you know, make sure all the hot spots, you know, everything fully cool off and extinguish. That's where I'll come in. And that's the hardest part, the mopping up part. So the way I train, it allows me, after the first, you know, initial firefighters, you know, after they gas or, you know, whatever the situation is with them, when I come there, you know, as they rest and, you know, they take their break, I could come there and I could, you know, I could go for hours. I could go all day based off, you know, how I train. So that endurance part, you know, it plays a huge role, you know, in the strength. You know, the strength, you need it also is a physical strength. So you will feel like you won't quit, but you got to be strong mentally too.
Okay.
So it's not just the physical, it's the mental too.
The discipline.
You have to be strong. Yeah, the discipline. You have to be strong mentally. And me, I found that, like, mentally, you know, I'm very mentally strong. Like, I have a very strong, you know, mental base. So even, you know, when I feel like quitting, you know, I could push past, or I could make it look like, you know, I can make it look comfortable even though I ain't comfortable.
Just make it look easy.
Yeah, make it look easy even though it ain't easy. So you like I say, the agility aspect, you know, going upstairs, you know, crawling, carrying tools, you know, pulling, lifting heavy objects, we used to deal with a lot of obese patients. A lot of people don't know that. We used to lift plenty, you know, obese patients at home. So knowing how to squat, and, you know, you not using your back, using your legs.
You know? And actively use the right muscles so you don't injure yourself.
Yeah, using the right muscles so you don't injure yourself. So training has played a huge role. The way I train, it played a huge role into my experience now, you know, and what I'm capable of doing. I feel like where, you know, it's so advanced now, like in terms of like what I've been doing so far, I could work with an injury. Like I could work with a bad knee and don't agitate the knee because I know how to move.
Right.
Yeah, based off, my training and, what I know and all of that. And you
Functional
can't tell.
mobility.
Yeah, so you looking from the outside or civilian, you won't tell I have a bad knee.
But person
Because
who
they know
know,
the person who know they didn't know that I have a bad knee. So I
I
agree that yeah.
I have a similar situation that happened to me with an injury, where I was running a marathon for cancer awareness. You know me, I'm a cancer survivor. And
Yeah.
whenever I can, I would participate in certain events. If it's brought to me, now I'm not actively running and chasing after those things. I'll be honest. I have other things that I do. Um,
Yeah.
but that time, my sister brought it to me and she's like, hey, let's run. And I ran it and I had a soft tissue sprain. I literally had a soft tissue sprain while running. After that, I got changed, went to my camps, then I went to ranges. And while I was in ranges, halfway through, that's when my ankle started to get bad or worse than it was. I was able to
Yeah.
finish the run, but here it is now. When I loosened on my boot and the pressure was loose, now it started to ache. Now I started limping. That was that Friday. No, that was that Saturday. That Saturday, I got the sixth slip from Oak Tree Medical. I looked at it. I squinted a little bit. And I didn't turn in the sixth slip. I was to work Monday morning.
Yeah.
I was to work Monday morning. And I was working. I was functioning. I didn't listen to none of what they say. Because I, from personal experience, learned that rice isn't exactly effective. And they ain't gonna tell me that because they don't want to be liable. They don't want to be accountable. A lot of things that I do, I was told not to do. When I first came from my sick time, from doing my chemo, why working out? Don't work out. Don't do none of these stuff. Don't do these things. I just do them. When I had that ankle, that soft tissue sprain, you think I go on and I put any ice in there, but I get that compression sleeve on my ankle, and when I take that off, I out there doing my ankle like this, and I doing basically like
Doing your
calf.
own therapy. Yeah.
I doing active kit therapy. I doing like
Yeah.
calf races,
Yeah.
ankle rolls while I had work, and by the end of that week, I was functioning fine, and I fine
Yeah.
now. Now, when I was at work, the only one person to know was Miss White, and Miss White was the lady that she works in that office, and she ran and she said, "Pratt, I smoke you." I said, "You best believe you smoke me out of old sprain," but I did
Yeah.
the work, and I wasn't crying, I wasn't complaining. I just did what I had to do, and that came with experience. I was running throughout high school. I know how to run. I could run a mile and a half and beat that time for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And plus, I tall, so that's tall privilege, I guess you could say. If you know how to run, you're
Them
tall.
long strides. Them long strides.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
you know what I'm saying? So I could do that. That's no pressure to me. But when I think about my training style, I do train for strength. I'll say that. I don't train for endurance. I train for strength. And I have my agility. I make sure I do my mobility and I try to be active so I can keep that agility. Maybe I should do some agility training, but I don't do much endurance training. Now, I could appreciate that you do it for your line of work, being an active duty fighter, endurance, being in heat, that dehydration, that extra weight, that exhaustion, that takes heavy endurance. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. In fact, you doing calisthenics is a better option than it is for me doing calisthenics. Now, for me, when I do strength, I work in office. I work in Sentry. I dealing with things that come there jam packed. Most issues that could come, I could almost be certain within 10 minutes, the situation over. It could last for 10 minutes. I could run behind someone for more than 10 minutes, but I don't have to do hours. I'm not in the sun, and I'm not in those cases and circumstances. And that's how I work. That's how I work. Now, for people who in infantry, the people who in squadron, I can't speak to them. People who in Harvard Patrol, who on the boat, on the water and thing, they probably could benefit from some endurance training for sure. Being in that sun, being on that boat, bouncing up and down like crazy.
Yeah.
Boy, listen, me? I ain't experienced it. I can't talk about it. Being on the water, on the boat, seasick, I know it coming. I happy I ain't there. But everybody got different experiences. People built for different things. And I think the misconception as well that one size fits all for law enforcement or these armed force groups is unreal, because just like how you have someone in admin, a person that in admin have a higher chance of being fluffy if they don't get themselves together. It's a 50-50. You have the people that take advantage of the time, being Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 in administration. They straight. And you have some, they don't They don't care.
Mind you, let me interject for a second. Like, also where I work, you have a higher chance to be fluffier because we basically would be like a standby unit. So
Exactly. So you got to
if
be
we
ready all
don't,
the time.
yeah. So if you just resting for the most part of the day, let's say on a good day, you don't have any calls, so you will be resting and you will be
Right.
eating. So if you don't exercise,
You can
it's
get
the same
fluffy.
as it's the same as if you work in an admin area and you ain't doing that. So it's like it's pros and cons. The pros are like you could exercise. You have all the time to really exercise. The cons are if you don't exercise, you will gain weight.
So the pros are you ain't doing none. The cons are you ain't doing none. Either way,
Yeah.
it's what you're doing with the time you have afforded and taking
It's
the
what you're
initiative.
doing with the time. Yeah. So the time available to you now. So if you sit down all day and you don't do nothing, you will gain weight. And even on the policing side, like a lot of officers, they join, you know, a certain way, certain physical fitness level. After about a month or two, they gain all the way back. You know, eating bad, not preparing their meals and all that stuff. So
Drinking too.
like, drinking, yeah, that drinking, well, we have a problem. We have a problem. Yeah, we have a problem. So yeah, man, it's how you utilize your time. Like all those things I mentioned, they can be excuses. You know, some people could use that and say, well, oh, we work these warehouse, we work these graveyard shifts and all of that. Oh,
Nonsense.
well, I don't carry food to work and I gotta buy food as I go. Excuses.
I
You know,
agree. I call them excuses
excuses.
because
Yeah,
even myself, when I would be in the graveyard shift midnight to 8, I would I would go in the corner while I have my little moment and I'd be doing my little push-ups and thing and I walking up and down like crazy. People thinking I's a maniac. And I'm like, no, I doing whatever I could do with what I got. I could consider that basically being like prison. You walking up and down, you in the cell, you ain't got nothing to do. But try to do your push-ups, try to do your dips, try to do whatever you
yeah,
could do. You jumping jacks, get active, walk up and down. Yeah, just to make use of the time. Even when I was on base for that month or two, and I was doing my duty watch, I gone out, run my mile and a half, right, and then we gone for a swim. I had enjoyed that really. Working in that
Mhm.
24 hour, I enjoy working 24 hours because I got a whole 24 hours. I
Yeah.
got
To do what you want.
all I got is time. And I'm at a
Yep.
military base. All I have is time. Yeah, I have my duties and my tasks. I know them times. I know at a certain time I gotta be. If I got 2 hours between that, I gonna go have a freak out.
Yeah.
I gonna go see what type of fit. Let me see where the nearest bike is. Let me go see if I can get to do it so I can go swimming. Let me go on the road for a little run. You know what I'm saying? They know where to
Yeah.
find me. They can see me on the road, and I trust myself. I ain't get no injury. You see what I'm saying? I making use of the time. Now, some of my other squaddies, other people I working with, they ain't into all of that. As far as they
No.
concerned, but he got a wife and kids, but I ain't doing all of that, but and I can't blame you. I ain't married.
No.
I ain't got no kids. I living the best I could right now.
Yep.
But even to me, I don't think that's a full-fledged excuse to be fluffy. I think it's solely choice. You have to make a choice for yourself to be or not to be and change your lifestyle based on those things. It don't happen overnight, but you have to change it and keep doing that change for the rest of your life if you want to do it.
Yep.
And regardless of where you work, you could do something. You may not be as fit as someone who in infantry or as fit as someone, because I believe you all in firefighting, y'all may be on par with SWAT team in terms of fitness. Would you agree or disagree or like the levels of fitness? But
Yeah. They kind of similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
you on the money, you ready to go, and your heart rate could boost up, and you got to be able to handle the
Control
high
the
intensity.
high pace,
Yes,
and be able to pace yourself back to that low intensity. And if you have to bring it back
within a
up,
dime and still function and go home
and
to go
still
eat your
function.
food. That ain't no easy
Yeah.
feat. That even a
Oh.
mental fortitude it takes to go through something like that is why I
Yeah.
believe training should be rigorous because that high intensity you will have that drive to go and man I can push it a lot because I experienced worse or your brain already developed and so callous for you to be doing some crazy stuff that a regular
Yep.
person be like, "Boy, I ain't doing all of that," but you be like, "Boy, hey, let's," you know what I'm saying? So oh, okay. Next question would be with the mental fitness and stress management, which is a good one for us right now. How does physical training help with the psychological demands of the job?
Should you could reword that question again?
Okay, how does physical training help with the psychological demands of the job? So essentially, what we talk about in the beginning, what I spoke about, the how your mind functions. How does your physical training or being disciplined? How does that discipline transition into having that fortitude, having that dedication, having that drive? How does that mind, like that mind and muscle connection, just being in a routine, you working out and you ain't really feeling like it? How does that transition when it's time to get in that fire, when it's time to get in that emotion and that zone? How does that help you?
All right, so like we mentioned before, certain parts in the previous conversations. When you train, you train not necessarily for weight, but for you. You know, when you on that grand stage, um, like the way I feel personally, when I go there in the public, like I used to be like, boy, that's how I view people, even when they being radical. Like, "Boy, this if this boy don't know, he don't know how his weight code. He may think I some kind of shrimp, but I know within myself, I might don't say it. I ain't gonna say it. You have to remain professional in the uniform. So
Yes.
I know what I capable of doing. I know I can handle the situation. Like you say, like within 10 minutes, I could
Most
handle the
situations could
situation.
get sorted out
Yeah.
less than.
So less than 10 minutes. So the mental preparation, well, the physical preparation to deal with those psychological situations. I feel like with the fitness basically with the therapeutic aspect of the fitness part of things. When you go in the gym, I used to be in the gym for like 2 hours, doing walking lunges, squatting for days,
Uh-huh.
doing some crazy things, but like it is be painful, but so the pain I experience, I know the pain I experience in the gym ain't nothing compared to what I could go there and experience. Ain't nothing, nobody out there could put me through. No experience no situation I could experience out there will ever be as painful as putting 300 pounds on your back or going on the bench, pushing 200, 250, 230 pounds. Like nothing could be like that out there. So I know, even if I do experience it out there, it won't be as intense as me being in the gym. Like you say, you used to be in the gym three times of the week. I used to be in the gym 2 times for at least 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, when I leave the gym in the evenings, I go for another hour or so
Right.
and go do some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I basically trick my body to continuously work. So when we have a major fire or whatever it is we have, but I could go for hours.
Just
Or if
work.
I get stationed somewhere to do some type of private engagement or some type of um security detail to be somewhere, or if I work a event like Junkanoo or same thing, um I could go all day. Someone could say something to me with the way. Oh, your sissy up. Your officers is this.
And there's do
Your
it.
officers is that. But me exercising and training, like the mental fortitude from like going through the most rigorous workouts or whatever, you can say whatever.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, you
Self-inflicted
can
at
say
that.
whatever you want. I know you could say this officer is this officer. I don't care. I don't care. I know what I going through. I know what I had to battle through. You know, that's why I play. That's why whenever I talk to people, I tell every officer, "Boy, get in the gym, get out there in the field. Wake out, boy.
And
That
start
wake out is
working.
tell you, but that is tell you because, boy, me personally, for some time now, like I have these little stretches where I be stressed out, and I find that not only that working out helps you with the psychological stuff on the job. It also helps you when you off duty and you
Yes.
you dealing with your personal life.
Right.
So you could be going through something at home, and you go there. you go in the gym and you channel all that negative energy,
Right.
all that build up frustration into something,
Positive.
and the gym basically would bring that positive, turn it into something positive.
Mm-hmm.
So it like that mental and that physical preparation, it helps you not only on the job, but like I say, it helps you
In your
off
personal
the
life.
job in your personal life. And like I tell people, it keeps you sane. Working out, working out.
Definitely.
I know people is do their own like working out wouldn't be everybody cup of tea. Some people would drink and do whatever it is they do to keep them sane. But exercising in my darkest times, but whether it was heartbreak, rejection, betrayal, I always had exercising. Even when I had my injury last year.
I remember you had that injury.
Yeah, I had a fracture of my knee and I had to take some stitches.
And you
The
still was out
bone,
there doing the most.
but I still was out there. But you see what I'm saying? So, but no matter what I went through in my life, fitness was always there. So I have a greater appreciation for what it has done for me, and I feel like if every officer could approach it like how I approach it, they could basically conquer anything. They could deal with any situation. They could be in any stressful situation. Like they could conquer the world. You know,
Yeah.
but this is the best. This is the best therapy for those 2 hours in the gym or the 45 minutes outdoors doing cardio. But you can conquer the world, mate.
I agree. I think from my case and circumstance, I would have been sick. I would have my chemo and I went from 165 to 140 within 4 months. And when I
Yeah,
came out and I went in the gym, I started working out and it was terrible. It was horrible. As a matter of fact, I think I learned more within those 4 months than I did about myself and like developing fortitude than I did in training because a lot of people I haven't told or I wouldn't have told unless I spoken to them. I spend that by myself for the most part. I was around family, but I was almost antisocial. And I was avoiding. I was very introverted. I'm still introverted as a person, but at that point, I wasn't talking to nobody, and I didn't care about who was calling and checking upon me. I just was in a state of mind, almost like psychosis, for 4 months. And when I came back, I went into another state of psychosis. Well, I said, I know drinking don't make no sense. Smoking definitely don't make no sense. Partying and spending my money and um none of that stuff making no sense. What could I do with the time that I do have that'll make me better and it'll make me feel better and make everything about my life better? It was the gym.
yeah,
And since I went there, I came out in April and it's going on 2 years since I've been active in the gym, despite breakups, despite bad times, despite having
yeah,
situations, personal matters, and it 100% kept me sane. It 100% helped my emotional tolerance, my patience, my
yeah,
patience at all time high. Really,
yeah,
my patience at all time high. I was driving with someone and they did something that really would have pissed me off, and it did piss me off, but I didn't even get mad. I
yeah,
didn't. I was upset. I told him. I said, it bothered me, but it is what it is. I didn't hide it, right? I definitely say it. That was weird that you do that, but I gotta do it because I just put myself voluntarily. Ain't nobody waking me up 4 o'clock in the morning to tell me to go in the gym. Ain't nobody telling me to go in my car to go be in the gym. Ain't nobody pushing me to go lift the weights. Ain't nobody slapping me on. I just work out by myself for the most part. I work out by myself so consistent that I have people that go to the gym with me and ask me if I go into the gym. And I just almost be insulted. I'm like you asking me if I could be in the gym. Why don't you just show up and just come to the gym and see if I there or not? Like, come on.
yeah,
And I know deep down it's not for everybody, and I don't push anybody to do it. I don't ever be chasing behind people to say get in the gym. I don't even do that. I just ask people if they don't do it, cool. If you want to go drink, you want to go smoke, you want to do whatever, cool. But don't try to get me to do it. Don't try to make
yeah,
me feel bad for doing it because now me, boy, do it. Them people will see me, and even in my uniform, we have the long sleeve, and mine's isn't baggy, it fitted. But people will even say, "Bro, you use workout?" Yes, I do workout. I do. I can remember when my sleeves was more than thin. Braggy was an understatement. I can remember when
Yeah.
I couldn't do my 10 push-ups when I first was sick. That's what I just remember. I can remember when I couldn't do, and I was looking on my phone, I was watching and seeing people, but the time that they did have, they party and they go into these clubs, they going out vacation, they stressing about women, they worried about this, that, and the next, crying about the job, crying, all these other things. And out there laying, getting chemo in my vein, half dying. From there,
Yeah.
I say, boy, I can't. Just like how you say you saw that baby, I look at myself in the mirror and I watch my hair fall away. And I can tell you from then, I say, I cannot be in this predicament again. If I
No.
could do anything I could do against that, I could do that. So it's deeper than that. People that have that drive. Not everybody have that. Not everybody gonna choose that coping mechanism, but it's one of the best coping mechanisms you can do. I tell you that. I tell you
Yeah.
that. So our next question could be, how do you stay mentally sharp and emotionally resilient in your high stress environment? And that pretty much was answered in the last one.
Yeah.
I
Basically answered that. Yeah.
Yes, I would say to stay mentally sharp, I do read. I do read books. I'm also a person that tries to learn and advance myself educationally, not just physically. I don't know if you do, but I read a book called Compound Effect. I read different books that try to learn me. I read a lot of nonfiction, and that helps keep me mentally sharp. And I have a better memory now. I try to get off the phone, try to read my books, try to learn some stuff, and that helps to keep my mind focused and stay sharp when people ask me questions. That's why I can talk on this channel now and I can think about things on the spot and I can have a conversation with you
Yeah.
as it is, because I read more. I definitely
See,
think people should.
with me, a lot of the things I do, I can be real. I know a lot of things, right, but I ain't too in depth with a lot of things. So a lot of stuff I can touch base on.
Hmm.
It'd be like more like a surface level thing. But
Okay.
reading, I try to read, but I'm not the most consistent reader.
Okay.
But I can see what reading, like what it could do for your vocabulary will be out there. You'll know more things, you'll be more advanced, you'll be more knowledgeable on certain topics.
Hmm.
So reading, that's something I really need to get into because I feel like I too much into this fitness world.
You are an extreme at this point.
Yeah, so I gotta start, finding other things, you know.
Well,
I consider.
if I could recommend you a place so you could get online books for free. I'll send it to you personally if you are interested. That's what I do to read
Yeah,
my books at work. And just keep my mind active and stuff. And another one is journaling for sure. I think journaling or just writing or going your notepad talking about some stuff, whatever on your mind, just helps
yeah.
it better than what people would think because
I
people
used
don't
to
even
tweet.
try it. You used to
I
tweet.
used to tweet a lot, but I
See, that's
stopped tweeting.
well, there's ways
Yeah,
that you do it. I think a better way is
yeah,
really just taking pen to paper and a little
yeah.
notepad and writing that stuff out. You'd be surprised over like 4 or 6 months. You'd say, "Mother sec, my mind's so clear. I know my thoughts because you just write it out." Um, the next thing is is there a stigma in law enforcement about discussing mental health or stress? I'll say right off the bat, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe the breeding ground in law enforcement in all regards is almost facts over feelings. Your emotions take a backseat. You
Yeah, no
serving
matter.
it don't matter. You serving the organization. Your service above self. And I think it's commendable. But when it transitions to off duty, a lot of us don't know how to switch,
No.
and when they can't switch and they end up being abusive to their family or they neglectful of their family and they resent their family because of what the job doing to them, they don't have that switch. I don't think there's a way for you to teach someone how to
Yeah.
deal with that. I think the best way for all law enforcement really is to just, I wouldn't even say be mindful and be aware because some things really and truly, whether you're aware or not, someone got to do some stuff and the manpower is you. You may not
Yeah.
want to do it, but they got to use you. And it is that way. And even in leadership, sometimes it does better that you say less. The more you say, the more the more words you saying, the less effective that person may be. I believe that. You
Yeah.
you should just keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it simple. And keep your emotions on the side. Yeah, you know you care about this person, but the job got to get done, and they available. They could do it. They ain't gonna
Yeah.
like it, but the task got on. I still believe the stigma is that it is task over feelings, and after that, I believe people should be celebrated or recognized, definitely recognized more to kind of
Mhm.
boost morale. Because
Yeah.
it's one thing for you to have someone self-sacrificing, but to then have that expectation like, oh, that's what you signed up for. I think that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think that's completely unrealistic and completely ridiculous that people are not recognized in all law enforcement for the time that they sacrifice away from their family, from their friends, and giving up their life. Because most of us, yeah, most of us, some of us may party, but most of us don't even have the time to party. We always
No.
at work. So we have no
Yeah.
choice but to be people who professional and brace up, and we have these good characteristics, and we don't get celebrated for it. We don't get respected for it. And that stigma, how we treat ourselves, by extension, people treat us. If we celebrate in our own, people will celebrate us. They'll have more respect. We do get celebrated more in the civilian atmosphere. I have experience. I've been treated by civilians better. But some people will come there and try to treat me like they seen me on the job.
Yeah.
You don't get to
Yeah.
talk to me that way. You don't get to act that way. And I don't even like entertain and engage that conversation. I just
Yeah.
keep it. Tell me they know this person. Okay, I didn't change from what got going on. If you here, I dealing with you. The stigma needs to change, and I ain't gonna be the complete one and say, okay, we need to care about everybody feeling, so we need to consider everybody opinions. I'm not gonna be that because that's not how this job works. That's not how organization is gonna function. The reality is you gotta serve. You gotta do some things, but you don't want to do. The task gotta get done. The task is the primary. You can't consider everybody feelings and get the task done. That's the thing with leadership.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel you being in the police force and the mental health and the stress that y'all deal with? I think y'all deal with a lot of stress as well, from what I've heard and I've experienced and I've seen.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So on our end, um, I feel like a lot of the leaders, like they so out of touch. They. I don't think they would be aware that, you know, when they see a young officer on down and out, they speak about it. I remember in training they would say, you know, um, find somebody who makes sense and emulate that person or stick to that person.
It's so easy to
You
say,
know?
right?
Yeah, they speak about it in training, but when you on the job, um, how is it that I used to come to work early every day and I used to do these things. I was clean, I was on time, I followed instructions and all of that stuff. You didn't notice when I was doing all these things, but you noticed when I started to go on the decline. It just shows me that, a lot of times, the leaders we have, the supervisors, these people don't care. They can notice the negatives,
Right.
but they don't notice the positives.
They don't
It,
celebrate it. They
like
don't appreciate it.
you could be so positive to the point where people would make fun of you for being positive.
I've experienced it. I've
Yeah,
experienced it.
so when you on the decline, they wouldn't pull you on the side and say, "Wait, I know
Public
you for
embarrassment.
being, yeah, I noticed you for being an exceptional officer. Like, you used to come here all the time. Like, what's going on, man? Everything cool at home? I don't get that at work.
You
A lot of
know,
officers could probably attest to that.
I
Not only
think
me, but yeah,
sorry to cut you off, but I think what you're saying is very common where these individuals, and it goes back to what I said, if they celebrate, if they pull you on the side and say, man, I know you to be an exceptional Marine, but now you lacking, that would do so much more than just shabbying and
I
just
telling you,
overtly bringing fire on him. Because if someone
yeah,
said to me and they put me on the side and say, nah, Brad, you just be clean shaven. And it did happen, I'll be honest. I had a senior that did it to me. He said, Brad, what's happening with you? You just have this personality, you have this characteristic, but here it is now. You look like a shell of yourself. And I was going through a breakup, right? I just wear my
yeah,
heart on my sleeve. People know whenever something wrong with me, they could see something wrong with me. So he approached me and he pulled me on, he called me, right? And he asked me if everything cool. But for the most part at large, I know that's not common. I know that's not That's
No.
borderline unacceptable because as far as they're concerned, man, you're getting too familiar. But no,
Yeah.
that's what a leader's supposed to do. Check up on his men. If I
Yeah.
see him, if I had a junior man working with me and I see this dude coming to work on time early, he clean shaven, he doing his stuff, and he falls short, I'll be honest, I ain't gonna be there praising him and saying, good job, I appreciate you coming to work on time. I have that expectation that you can come to work on time. But when you fall short, I will say, you straight, everything good at home? You want me, welfare check? You want me to call the chief? What you saying? I said joke. I said I was joking, but I just be serious about it too. Like everything cool. I just asked if you straight. Because you ain't operating how you was operating last week before, last month, 6 months. Right? And
Yeah.
when you ask that question, you end up touching, knocking at the door of a person, and you get to see what inside their house. They'll tell you what inside their house, metaphorically. They'll tell you what's going on because you knock on the door. And now that you know this pile of stuff, I ain't saying take it on. I ain't saying that's your problem or you gotta be, oh, I sorry to hear that. You don't have to. But at least you can know and they know that you care enough to ask. But then they can get themselves together. Because why? Or that they can think about it. They can think about it subconsciously. They're saying this man fault, they're saying this man problem. But I could appreciate them saying, man, I used to be abrasive. I gotta get myself together, man. I gotta make sure I shaving up. They ain't gonna say it. There's a lot of unspoken communication things that we do that'll do so much better for us in law enforcement if our seniors or our supervisors would have done said things instead of following the trend, following the path, doing what they senior people to do. Treat them like slaves.
Yeah. But hey, mind you, where they so out of touch with what's going on with their staff, but sometimes um they don't respect you or they don't pay attention to your situation until it's too late, until you get yourself in problems. When the preventative measures could have been, dealt with.
There was no preventative measures. It's just that.
From the beginning, but these people, they don't, like I say, they don't notice it. All these people that come to work for, they come in to work for a salute. They want you to salute them. They want you to acknowledge them. They don't care about you. You go about your way. They go about their way. They deal with women's. They go about their day. They don't care about you. So I feel like in our community, at least with the competent authorities, I feel like what they should do, they should put something in place for like mental health and law enforcement. Because I feel like it would do a lot for us who deal with these things. Even if they could bring in like international speakers or people, who are once, in the same capacity, who serve in the same capacity as us, who could, shed the light
Right.
on things we go through. I feel like it would help. That could at least be a start. And when it also like they should give you time off for mental health. You should. Yeah, like right now, I've been working for the past 3 years and no vacation, Like, what I doing for myself, I can take some vacation, and, clock out and, go on one family island or something.
Right.
And just detox, like things like that. As a supervisor, if you was a supervisor, you see your staff, you ain't take no vacation, approach your staff, man, say, man, you want to take no vacation, eh? Yeah, man. Being around this type of environment every day, all day, go chill.
I think for me, and I could speak for me personally, in a similar way, the only times that I have taken vacation thus far really is to do checkups post my medical treatment. So every time I'd go, regardless if I go in 3 months, every 3 months, I'm not even on 3 months or 6 months. I go in every once a year now. But whenever I go over there, I still don't even feel like I got vacation. I was talking to a friend of mine even, and she said, you just go over there and you just be there and like you don't be doing all these other stuff. I say, no, I don't even be in the mood for that stuff. Even if I had money, the extra money to say I can go spend and go have a jolly, I wouldn't, because my whole purpose of coming over there was to do this treatment. Right off the rip, I already turned off. I ain't going there to have a jolly. My first impression is I going to go to the doctor. After the doctor, yeah, everything cool, but now I wasn't planning on going on this vacation. I ready to go home. You understand? So even if someone was chasing after some people like me, If I ain't ready to go on vacation, I ain't ready to go on vacation. I do believe that even in that regard, there should be some things in place where you have to take vacation. And it does happen. Like now, they have a lot of senior people on the job that don't take vacation, and now they have to go through pre-retirement using up those vacation days because they have
Yeah.
them backed up. I do believe that could be mitigated where you force people to go on vacation, take that month off, chill yourself out, because it'll give people those time that people get seated. I know some people don't have the best situations at home either, so I
Yeah.
can't pretend like that isn't something that they have to deal with. A lot of people don't like being around their families. A lot of people
Yeah,
don't
it
like.
is. Come the weekend, you
That's
stay
a
away from
that's
your family. Yeah.
that's a coping mechanism. But
Yeah.
you still got to take your vacation. If, even
Yeah.
if you take your vacation and you go live on base or you go on a post and you still work, that on you. But you got to take them vacation days.
Yeah.
You gonna need them vacation days. If you have a good family, you love your family, you go want to be around your family. Take the time out. I don't know about y'all, but
It,
whenever you put in your vacation, more often than not, if you put it in on time, you can get it. It ain't like they don't like to give vacation. They just people like to put it in last minute. For us, you need if you put it in beforehand and people can prepare to work it around, you can get that vacation. But
yeah.
I think mental health, the mental facilities that could be in place isn't in place, and it should be in place because there are other institutions around the world that do, I wouldn't say worse or have more on their plate, but they're more personal, there are more issues at hand. You have people that are very much traumatized in our society and other societies alike that actually have some stuff on, and they need a welfare check. And pretending
Yeah.
like everything could be cool while you watching this dude drink his 10 bottle of beer ain't no fun. That ain't nothing good, and that ain't gonna be good for him and his fitness in any regard. In any
Yeah.
regard. If you see that and you ain't saying nothing, I can look at you with a type of look because you understand and you know what that person going through. That's why you ain't stopping them. But at the same time, you could let them do that? No. Not around y'all. Not around y'all.
Seriously.
Not around y'all. So what I want to do, I want to get on that last section because we've been on for an hour and a half, which is good timing. I want to just talk about community influence and reform, and then we're going to wrap up. So, my first question is how can officers lead by example in fitness and wellness within the communities they serve?
You freeze just now. You can say that again.
Okay, sorry, my apologies. I said, how can officers lead by example in fitness and wellness within the communities they serve? You got it?
Yeah, I hear that now.
All
Tell
right,
you know what I used to do. I have my TikTok platform.
right,
My TikTok platform, I post what I do. I help a lot of people get in shape, you know, train a lot of officers before they were on the job, to
right.
help them get on the job. So I have it out there on my platform. So I feel like a lot of officers should, if you even if you don't have a platform, you go there, you volunteer your time, you train people for free, you'll be an example of what it is you're talking about. And like I say, like I emphasize on my TikTok, you go on my TikTok, is everything there, you know.
Yeah, I
I
have
have,
seen
I have,
it.
I have people I trained before, who's out of shape, fat, sorry to say fat, but obese. Yeah, all that good stuff. And, I basically drag them, I carry them to the destination, and now they are full fledged officers,
They arrived.
they out there, they serving,
Mm-hmm.
and having that platform, showing the public, like you said, when we at the beginning of the conversation at the beginning, um, it can be a bit repetitive. It appears, it might be boring, but there's a hidden gem in and having a platform where people can reach out to you, and they could see what it is you all about, and they could see the work you do. You know,
Yep.
not just use social media for frivolous activities and all that. Use it for like use you as an officer, use it for positive stuff. I used to be
Right.
out there in the public one day. I was out on Goodman Bay, sitting down, I was training some of my clients, and someone came up to me and said, you're that police officer on TikTok. But yeah, I'm so shocked. But I was so shocked. But it's like, but
Right.
people actually
Recognize
notice
you.
me now. Like,
And I'm
and the
happy
thing
to hear that.
is, but I don't like the way I do my content. I more so give the people I train the spotlight, whereas I behind the scenes. So
They
I
don't
don't
see
really
your
post
face.
nothing. Yeah, I don't really post me on my TikTok. So the mere fact that someone could actually recognize me based off
What you
what it is they
doing?
doing, but it feel good, but like what they actually people noticing, and it is inspiring me to push and even go there and do even more.
Right.
So yeah, like every officer should have like a platform. It don't necessarily have to be social media. Whatever it is, you do whatever you skill that, whether you're a barber, a braider, whatever it is you good at.
Mm-hmm.
You could use that, and it don't necessarily have to be fitness. You could use what it is you skill at and go there and teach it, and connect with the community, and the community would appreciate it.
Well, in that
You'll be very
regard,
surprised, what people, you know, like and what they don't like, So
with you
you,
saying that,
yeah,
with you
yeah,
saying that, I even myself, I don't do fitness content. I could do it, but I don't do it because it's not something
yeah.
that I primarily have like a drive to do. But I do talking
Mhm.
videos like what I'm doing right now. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
saw one or two of my TikToks. And I
And that's how we
post
get to connect.
exactly. So I
That's
post
how we
on
get to
TikTok
connect.
and everybody see the same light in the same circumstance with me throwing on a
Yeah.
hoodie and I talk in front of a camera in my room. And people will see that and say, man, I saw you on TikTok. They see it in my work. They say, man, Praddy, I saw you, boy. Yeah, man, you sound
Yeah.
like you making sense. My uncle in
Yeah.
Grand Bahama, he say he going to call me 12 o'clock one night. Say, man, I hear you and your boys them talking, man. You look like you got a good head on you. I
Yeah.
happy. Keep it up. And even people
Yeah.
on the job, they would see it. One time I
Yeah.
walk in on someone in the office. This was my senior man. First senior man when I come on the job. He walk in. He on TikTok. And when I walk in, I say, oh, I didn't even see you there. He say, well, mother sick. I just was watching your TikTok, bro. I say, you know what I'm saying? And I can't stress this enough, even for this YouTube channel. And TikToks, I just sit down and do my quick videos, but my YouTube primarily is what I post on because that's what I love to do. I love to share my knowledge and I love to share our knowledge with people who want to hear and who want to listen and who want to go on this journey with me. I would talk about fitness, the importance of fitness, the importance of managing your finances, the importance of your mental
Yeah.
well-being. I all about self-improvement. That's why I call this the Redemption Podcast. This is why I call it the Redemption Podcast. Why? Because I believe we fell short as a society. Us men have fell short. We lost our way. And we need to be redeemed.
Yeah. We've
If
been
you
dropped the ball.
we been dropped the ball because we already said
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You looking for someone to look up to. I don't see much man to look up to. When people say who's someone you want to be like, I just say nobody. And it ain't
Yeah.
because I didn't want to aspire like no one, but no one I saw didn't have faults. And I know myself have faults. I just wanted to be a better me every day, all day. That's why I have this redemption podcast. I don't care if it's 1 view or 1,000 views or 100,000 views or 1,000,000 views, because I know one person will appreciate it, and it may not happen today or tomorrow, but one day they can watch it, they
Yeah.
can listen, or the people who can say, "Man, I shoulda, woulda, coulda." That's why I do this content. Just like you say, you doing it because that's what you giving back to the community. You doing it
Yeah.
because it's bigger than you. Oh, it went off for a second. Sorry, say it again.
I say it way bigger than me and
Bigger
my
than you.
ego. It's bigger than my ego.
Definitely, right?
Yeah, way bigger than my ego. I know after, you know, even if I hear no more, after I'm long gone, the content and my impact, what I do each day, it will always be there.
It's a
You
lasting
know,
impression, and that's what you
it's a
try to
lasting
do.
impression. Yeah,
That's what I try to do, regardless of
yeah,
age. I know people will hear my age and they be like, "What? You only that? You ain't really learned nothing." And I say, "Well, that's the best part. I got more to
yeah,
learn. I got more to experience, and I got more to tell
yeah,
and show." But for now, with what I learn and what I know and what I experience and the things that I've learned from the people above who've been there and done, I can tell
yeah,
people, especially my age, I under 25,
yeah,
things that I wish I knew at 18, like me investing my money, managing my time, worrying about the wrong things. Wait, mind blowing, mind blowing. But I think I think that's the best way us as a community, despite community service, can lead by example. Get out there instead of consuming everything, taking in what everybody's saying. Start saying some stuff. Start motivating. Start mentoring people. Just putting some insight on people. Being positive in the community around the people around you. Just let people be better. Even my Grammy them in this house. Man, I talk to them and I try to get them to laugh and do some things. And I sure deep down, they just appreciate that. Some people living in their house and their family don't be checking for them.
No.
That's your community just in your house. That's your community.
Man, that's your first community.
That's your first community. Get your house together, and then you can
That's your
go
first
outside and
community, man.
you could take on the world if your people's
But
together.
that's something I need to work on myself. I ain't perfect in no sense.
Nobody
You know,
perfect.
lot of us, boy, that home different, but we living in these homes, we selfish with one another, we ain't looking out for one another, like you say. But that home will make or break you, bro. It will make or break you.
Mm-hmm.
What you do in the home, it sets the tone. You know, it sets the tone. If you can't set the tone at home, buddy, it's only so long when you go there and you appear to be setting the tone, you get exposed. You have to be able to set the tone at home, buddy. You can't set the tone at home, you gonna get exposed out there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Shame or shame.
Yeah. So you gotta be able to set the tone. But me, I have two younger brothers. I used to oldest, I say eldest, older than man. They
Okay.
see how the older brother operate and what I all about. I very business orientated. You know, I had the exercising, I had the making sense, and I could see where, you know, some of my habits, you know, it rub off on them
Right.
in a positive way. I could see it ain't fully that ain't something they fully interested in.
Right.
But I could see where, you know, the positive things I do, it affect them in a positive way. You know, I could see it. You know, if you can't see what it is you do, and you can't see where it's doing something good for us, you really and truly
You ain't making no sense, you say.
no, you don't make no sense. No. So like with me, like I say, I had the positive things, you know.
Right.
I had to make an impact. So you can't be somebody who into partying, buying cars, you know, and them foolishness and all that. Not knocking on them kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, I ain't knocking on them kind of things.
It's
I
a
ain't trying to
balance.
judge nobody. You know, that's a balance, you know. Everybody have their thing, but they like, you know, but if you can't see how it could positively affect those around you, especially the people at home, you ain't making no sense. So that's my philosophy and how I look at it in that aspect.
I can
So
respect
your home is your first community way. So if you can't, even your Grammy or whomever who older than you, senior to you can influence them in a way. I see some time ago, my old lady used to wake up in the morning and go exercise, and
Wow.
she was motivated by me and what I was doing. So that ease of them, she just, you know, take upon herself to go exercise because I was so into it at that time.
Right.
In our life, she used to just wake up, go drive on the beach, you know, go
Like,
for
oh, wow.
walks, you know, go for jogs and all of that, you know. Like I could see like where even now, every time I go home, I would, you know, discipline my little brother. I was like, boy, get down, give me 30 push-ups, you know. I instill it in him. And even when I'm there, he's still doing that.
Right. Because
So
already
I could
down. You
see,
already planned to see.
yeah, and my next, but business wise, I could see where, you know, he trying different things, you know, he's selling different products. You know, I could see like where, you know, I do one or two good things. I proud of, you know, and I ain't doing the most, you know, but I can see what it is I done so far, you know, as an elder inside my home, you know.
You made
I
an
can see like
impression.
where, yeah, I made an impression. I made a positive impression on my brother. So I feel like all of us, you know, we should be able to look and reflect, you know, hey, what it is I'm doing that could help my little cousin or my little niece or my little nephew,
Mhm.
how I can make them better. Even if people don't, you all may not have the closest relationship, they should be able to look at you and be like, boy, I don't be like this way.
Or at least,
Even though,
yeah, but
you know, that's all it is,
They
boy.
ain't gotta hate
You know?
you. They ain't gotta like you, but they can respect you. They can say,
They
boy,
can
one thing I
respect
know
what
with
it
my
is you're
brother,
doing.
he may not
Yeah.
be the nicest in ways. He may not be, you know, he dread, but at least I know, by my
Yeah.
brother working, by.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, man.
I think even in my life, when my little brother, I just try my best to talk to him from an older brother perspective, a little brother who is now older brother, because I'm a middle child. I have an older sister. Some things that I know and I learned from trial and error, from experience, what ain't making sense, what don't make sense, trying to go for a pursuit, I just talk to them. Now, after I done talked to you about 2 or 3 times, I taken a step back because now you got to learn. I know I learned from everybody telling me don't do these things, don't mind that, don't. I listen. I had to feel, and a lot of us we just got to go through that. But, I do afford people, my brother especially. I afford my family the opportunity to at least learn something. They know me. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family, they just ask me questions, or they just ask me things, or they just tell me things because I give them the opportunity to be approachable, for them to say stuff to me, for them to communicate, and for them to talk to me. And they'd ask me, regardless of age, oh, you think this? Or what do you think about this? I know I'm making that impression enough because they willing to get my feedback, or they willing to get some feedback from me. They yearning for that. And I'm happy to say that. I'm proud to say that because I'm doing the things that I need to do for them to be able to do that, for me to be utilized, for me to be a benefit to my community instead of a liability. I had to look at it like that. You want to be a benefit, or you want to be a liability to your household or your family? You want people to say, oh yeah, that's my daddy, or oh, that's my daddy, or that's my brother, or that's my, you got to pick your side. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, you can't serve two masters.
You can't serve two masters, really.
Yeah.
Even with this content, it's either you're gonna be posting or you ain't gonna be posting. You're gonna be consistent or you ain't gonna be consistent. You even posting your type of content, you gotta be mindful of what you posting and stay focused. Because if you're not focused, you could be posting all kinds of things, and they say, "But last week you was posting about this modern, I talking about something completely different. Like what you dealing with?
Yeah.
What I here for? You understand?" So I just believe that us as individuals, you just gotta lead by example. Do the things what is expected of you, but also be aware and open to doing more, helping, giving back. Self-sacrificing is the job, but it's also something that can be personal. Make it personal. Make it a part of you. Now to wrap up, this is our last question because it's getting late. My last question for you, and I'll answer as well, is if you weren't in law enforcement, what fitness related career would you pursue?
I really would be a high school PE teacher or college level PE teacher or something like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll probably be, yeah, that's even now and all I thought of doing it, but I'm more into the business aspect of things, but
Right.
that's something I probably would have been doing.
Okay. Well, I think for me, and this is a question that I didn't actually think about until now it is on me. I think I would probably do physiotherapy, teaching people or being like a fitness coach that help deal with joint and mobility and help keeping your body to a certain level of standard.
Yeah, that's the best ones right there.
I believe that regardless of your age, yes, I know your aches has come and the pains and these things has happened as it comes with age. But I believe personally what I want to do and what I aspire to be is when I'm 65, when it's time where this job or whatever I work in, tell me I gotta go home, I'd still be able to function. I'd still be healthy enough to deal with my grandchildren or my children. I could lift them up. I could, I could get down on the ground a little bit. I could be mobile. I could be active. I ain't got to be paraplegic. God forbid I in a wheelchair. Boy, that's one thing I pray that don't ever happen. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to live to see that long. You know what I'm saying? But if I weren't in law enforcement, I'd be in physiotherapy, and I would definitely be someone that teaches and actively live the lifestyle of being physically active, but keeping that mobility, keeping that strength, and trying to maintain this one body I have for as long as I could. Real maintenance, just like a car. That might be high mileage, but boy, you is replace them parts, or you is make sure that oil change, and you is make sure this, that, and the next do. I believe confidently that that's what I do. No questions. But if it have to do with fitness,
yeah.
No.
Hey, another thing too, they recommend a lot of officers to do, wait. Get yourself a chiropractor.
I need to go to one. I know one, but I need to go.
Wait, getting a chiropractor was the best decision. One of the best decisions I ever made since, being on this job or in this capacity.
Mm-hmm.
That chiropractor, I try to see my chiropractor at least once a month, at the end of the month.
Right.
If you could do it twice a month,
That's better.
It's all of you. But them chiropractors, hey, trust me, it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a life changing experience.
For
It's
the
a life
better.
changing experience for the better. Yeah, you get all law enforcement personnel. Get yourself a chiropractor. You
Well,
know,
I think they
get
get the
yourself a chiropractor.
chiropractor first. They got to get the fitness together, man. You think you don't you get boy you putting
Right,
the carriage before the horse, man.
right.
It's sad but true.
Yeah. But you
You
know, when you want to get yourself together physically, get yourself a chiropractor, and boy, trust me, pay attention to your body. You
listen to
know,
them signs,
listen to them signs, boy. Use DSP there, but please ignore it. Listen to your body. You know, get all the medical and professional help you need.
right?
Do your annuals, do your physicals. You know.
And don't be like me and do your own thing and then blame somebody. I'll say that. Don't be like
Yeah,
me when you sprain
yeah,
your ankle. Don't go
yeah,
doing your own things. If you ain't know, I take the risk and I take the reward.
yeah,
Listen to the doctor first. But if you really got the balls, if you
yeah.
daring like me, go do your research, go do whatever you want to do, and
Hey,
freak yourself
sometimes
out.
that is weak in your favor because after my knee injury, the therapy what I used to when it was all right, but
You had to
I had to
take matters in
basically
your own hands.
I had to take medicine in my own hands. So I was getting in the salt water, I was running in the sun, like a lot of the stairs, lifting weights. But it,
Hmm.
it took me a year for me to actually start to feel my legs because my legs were spaghetti way. Right? No, my left knee was spaghetti. It even cost me to lose my running form and all. So I basically had to retrain myself to get back to that standard. I ain't completely there yet, but
Right.
I almost there. But you have to sometimes you gotta take it, but you gotta take things in your own hand. Because the doctors, they basically for the most part, I could be wrong, I could be correct. But correct me if I'm wrong. Doctors basically they get off a script.
Yeah,
They went to school,
it's
they were
routine.
taught this. Yeah, it's a routine. So I don't think they really, fully
Understand.
aware, of what it is to be the person actually going through this. Not the person just given the treatment, but to actually be in that person's shoes, trying to rehab and get to that level. It is be hard, way. Some
I
people
think
never recover.
definitely not. Definitely not. I think even when you spoke about the doctors and they diagnose you, I think a lot of doctors or most doctors, in fact, their job is to treat you for symptoms. If you have knee pain, they could give you some medication for the pain relief, but that isn't fixing the problem. That's like putting a
No,
band-aid on a cut or
no.
open wound. You have a leak, you need to sort that leak out. If your knee
Then after,
pains, if your knee
yeah,
hurting, you got to figure why. Either your cartilage gone, your joints gone, or your muscles weak. Now you got to figure which one of those three it is. Oh, it is all three. You have no, like even me, I was doing squats, right? Box squats, barbell box squats. Terrible form. I go in there and I feel like my lower back crank out. I rock that and I went after the gym. I was out for 2 weeks. You know what I started doing? I started doing lower stretches, flex the
yeah,
muscle, and then I had to learn proper form. Why?
yeah.
Because I was going to go enter my lower back, and if my CEO did find out that I injured myself after he just told me to go in the gym, oh, I must see what's going to be on this job. He'd say he could send me sick pay, but you know, this
Yeah.
that's that's definitely it. That's really it to the core. I believe in general, in every way, shape, and form, people have a duty, they have an obligation to themselves to take care of the one body they have, at least. If you ain't gonna take care of nobody else, if you could be selfish, at least be selfish about this body to be as
Take
if you
care of
could
yourself, man.
I hate to say it, if you could be a menace to society, at least be a long lasting menace. You know, unless
Real.
you want to be a menace and you can't even last long.
No.
Like if you could be a good person, be a good person to yourself, love yourself first, and then
Yeah.
you can love people, right? But
That's
I will say that is all for the stream. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the stream. And my good friend Marius, I really do appreciate you coming out to the stream. I appreciate you sharing your insight, being a
yep.
firefighter, and I appreciate your fitness perspective as well. That's a different perspective from mine, but it's very similar as well. I really do appreciate it, your insight and your experience and your stories. Um, I'm sure people would also appreciate because it gives them an insight on what it is that they don't see behind the scene, what ain't by the camera, what ain't you live action in the fire. in the heat, right? But for all
Yeah.
those people, I'm going to speak to you, Marius, in a second after the stream, but that's going to be all. I hope that you guys did enjoy. I hope that I will see you all in the future. Hopefully, Marius, you may also be in another stream, talking about different topics, but that's going to be all. And yeah, y'all take care.